Can Week 6 of the 2025 college football season be labeled as upset weekend? Well, there's a lot of preseason ranked teams on the road, plus around this time last year, we did get a few surprise results that had an impact on the college football playoff. So, this weekend of games, we have Kansas State making a road trip to Waco, Texas, and take on the Baylor Bears. Boise State travels to South Bend and clashes with Notre Dame for the first time, and Clemson heads to Chapel Hill for a ACC battle with North Carolina. Let's head to Big 12 territory for two favorites to win the conference title for 2025, Kansas State and Baylor. Series between the two current head coaches, Chris Klieman and David Arianda, is split 2-2, with K-State leading by one game all time. We start with hosts, the Waco Bears, who for the upcoming season are loaded with a ton of returners. Baylor has 3 starters coming back in the trenches for the offensive line, with 2 of the expected starters playing in all 13 of the Bears games in 2024. They will create holes for 2 running backs that combine for almost 1,700 yards, Bryson Washington and Dawson Pendergrass, and should look to continue this balanced offense for 2025, as the Bears also have a pair of wide receivers returning this season, Josh Cameron and Ashton Hawkins. Both average more than 12 yards per catch in 2024. But wait, there's more. For the Bears, tight end Michael Trigg comes back. All of these targets combined for 18 receiving touchdowns, 20 if you include the running backs. And on top of all those weapons lining up for Baylor, their starting quarterback, Sawyer Robinson, returns. The Waco Bears QB1 had a breakout 2024, with finishing in the top 25 in passing yards and only throwing 8 interceptions in 13 games. Waco on paper should look to be one of the most lethal offenses in the country for 2025. As for the Baylor defense, who has 5 returners from last season, with their top tackler Keaton Thompson at linebacker, Thompson will play alongside with FIU transfer Travion Barnes, who was also a lead tackler for the Golden Panthers. David Arianda has done an excellent job this offseason in keeping most of Baylor's impact players in 2024 and brought in some pieces that will maybe get Baylor into a Big 12 championship game. Now to their opponents, Kansas State. We haven't talked about K-State since week 0 and in our honorable mentions for week 3. The Manhattan Cats defense will have Austin Romaine and VJ Payne coming back for 2025 and were big contributors for the Wildcats last season, along with some depth in the trenches that put Kansas State 30th in run defense and 26th in sacks per game. This unit will be important in keeping the Purple and Silver's 2-game win streak over Baylor. On the other side of the ball, the Wildcats have Avery Johnson's top target from last season, Jance Brown, who had a crazy average per catch for 2024 with 17.7 yards, but only had 47 receptions. Big Play Brown hopefully keeps the connection with Johnson and can improve or continue those stats for 2025. So, Kansas State needs to stop one part of the balanced Baylor offense by either locking down the Bears through the air or most likely stall the run to keep the streak going. And the Bears must contain Avery Johnson just to have a chance in evening up the series all time. Game 2 is a first of its kind. The Boise State Broncos leave the beautiful blue turf of Idaho and head to South Bend, Indiana to play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Starting with the Broncos, and the reason why the room is blue, come into 2025 with a ton of returners on the offense. Their O-line, who was plagued with injuries in 2024, but might have gotten a blessing in disguise, because with those wounds in the trenches, had many Broncos down the depth chart step up, and the linemen that filled in last season gained valuable experience. It's now their time to pave the way full-time for Cyrese Gaines and a transfer from Fresno State, Sherrod Malik. To be honest, at running back, it gets deeper than most outside of Boise think. DeBreeze Dubar and Dylan Riley wouldn't be much of a drop-off if the 2 backs I just mentioned went down. Crazy how the Broncos running back room hasn't fallen off with Aston Jensen moving on to the NFL. These 2 departments in this contest against the Irish is crucial, because punching an opponent like Notre Dame in the face, figuratively speaking with the running game, is how you beat the big boys. Boise State also has their quarterback from last season, Maddox Mad Dog Madsen, back, who protected the ball in possession last year with only 6 interceptions. Gotta love a guy that doesn't turn the ball over. Madsen will have 2 of his top 3 targets returning for 2025, and maybe he'll have some other receivers step up, as this is the weakest area for the Bronco offense. Continuing, but on the defensive side, the Broncos lost one of their starting linebackers to the portal, but will have a good number of returners for the upcoming season. Feely, Virgin Morgan, Notriani, McCoy, Irby, Washington, and top tackler Benningfield. Danielson, with the limited amount of resources that the Broncos have, did another fantastic job in retaining most of his playoff defense, but has also brought in depth to make sure Boise is ready for another long campaign in 2025. Now I'm going to stop the glazing for the away team and talk about Notre Dame. For the last time in this series for big games in 2025, because the rest of their schedule should be win after win to the college football playoff. For the Fighting Irish to win this battle in South Bend, their defense needs to stop the run. Easier said than done because they weren't the best at it last season. If they can put Boise in long distance third down attempts, this will increase their opportunity in getting the ball back. I expect their quarterback, who might have an impact in previous games before the one against the Broncos, will have more of a supportive role by handing the ball off and letting the 2 best departments that are involved in the Irish running game carry Notre Dame to victory. So, if Marcus Freeman can get his team to protect the ball and the pocket from Boise's supreme pass rush, Notre Dame should win on their home turf, because if they don't, the Broncos will show the country why they again belong in the playoffs for 2025 and should have a seat at the table of college football. Honorable mentions for Week 6 begins with a matchup for some more in-state bragging rights. The Miami Hurricanes go north to Tallahassee and have a scrap with the Florida State Seminoles. The Texas Longhorns also head to northern Florida to get down and dirty in the swamp with the Florida Gators. The Commodores, who made headlines last year for Week 6 with a generational win over the Alabama Crimson Tide, will see if Bama gets caught off guard again. And finally, Penn State make another trip to Southern California and battle the UCLA Bruins in the Rose Bowl. We'll see if Coach Foster can spoil someone's season. For the final game, we have an ACC battle with the reigning conference champions, Clemson at Chapel Hill, to get it on with the North Carolina Tar Heels. We also have 2 legendary coaches coming up against each other for the first time, Dabo Swinney and Bill Belichick, my favorite spot to fill out on my 2025 bingo card for college football. Quick slide-in note, Bill Belichick is the only first-year head coach since we dived into Week 0's games, and will be the last new head coach whose program we will cover in the biggest matchups week by week for 2025. So let's start with North Carolina, who come into 2025 with 40 players from college football free agency. FYI, somehow there are programs with more than what the Tar Heels brought in. But anyways, back to the defense, picking up some ballers like Thaddeus Dixon, a transfer from Washington, and was the number 3 cornerback out of the portal. Another number 3 player, but at linebacker, and also from UW, Himori House. Nothing crazy from the stats, just a lot of upside from the 2 because of their abilities. Slide in note, Billy B understands South LA produces some excellent defensive players. Belichick knows. This top 10 class includes the number 7 player from the portal, Mekhi Bayer from Nebraska. In front of him, in the trenches, there are also some new faces and younger Tar Heels stepping up into starting roles. This area, if the rumors are wrong about Billy B not being in charge by the beginning of the season, will most likely improve from their 69th run defense. On the other side of the ball, the Tar Heels will hand the quarterback reins over to Gio Lopez, another transfer from South Alabama, and will likely let Bryce Baker sit out for most of his freshman year. The offensive line that was in our SpOp top 25 for 2024 and will probably stay in that top 25 for 2025, with the additions of Daniel King, the number 8 offensive tackle, who might have the same effect JC Davis had for Illinois in 2024. I expect this unit, with the depth from college football free agency, will be a force to be reckoned with in the Atlantic Coast Conference. These Hogs should make great running lanes for Davion Goss, who will fill in the number 22 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, Omarion Hampton's shoes. Now to their opponents, the Clemson Tigers, whose offensive line has 4 out of the 5 2024 starters returning. They touch Howard's Rock for another season, and the 4 of them started more than 12 games last year. There's a lot to love about the Tigers in the trenches, especially when you can get almost 5 yards per carry last season. In the encounter back in 2023, there were 11 punts between the two. I think that trend continues for 2025 with Cade Klubnik playing a bigger role in the passing game. This might be where the matchup is won and lost. Turnovers was another common result for plays in the 2023 game. Man, this contest is going to be incredible to witness. Again, with 2 legendary coaches that are going to have their squads ready to throw down to be the top ACC program. So, I think this game will have big plays, even with conservative approaches by the 2 head coaches. And guys, this one in Chapel Hill is another one you're not going to want to miss. Okay, we'll see you guys again for some more week-by-week previews for the 2025 college football season. And bye-bye for now from the couch.